Welcome to Wednesday Wellness. This is a course that we do every Wednesday addressing health topics to help us have our optimal life. We appreciate all the guest speakers who come on to share their expertise and their clinical experience so we can be well, get well, and stay well. Please come back every Wednesday and invite your friends and family. Tonight we have Dr. Bly Hatch. He is a chiropractor for over 20 years in the Surprise, Arizona area. He has a passion for helping people have their most optimal lives through diet, exercise, nutrition, mental, and emotional health. Dr. Hatch?
Hey, welcome. It's Wednesday Wellness, guys. Glad to have you on. Some of you may be coming from Arizona. I know we got somebody from Canada and somebody from actually that has the last name Canada that's actually from Colorado. So I'm glad to have you guys on. It's exciting to be here. This is actually something I have a great passion for because as a kid, I actually lived and breathed allergies. I actually loved it in some ways because I didn't have to pull weeds in the garden as often. But the problem with it, I would get so bad that my eyes would swell shut and I could not breathe. And so that was not a good situation. And so when you think about it, it all started actually when I was 7 due to the fact that I had actually when I was newborn, and it was really when I started, because I went on antibiotics and had some different things that happened to me in my life that created a problem where I couldn't digest foods well. And I actually, every time I got around something, pollen or anything like that, I had a lot of issues. So allergies have always been a passion of mine to help people with because we have a lot of different allergies from airborne allergies to environmental allergies to actually our own personal allergies to ourselves, which I was having at that time. So anyway, I'm glad to be here. So I just want to talk a little bit about allergies. In Arizona, we start a little earlier than most people. Anywhere in the Southwest here, we start a little earlier. We start getting a little warmer weather. We start having things starting to blossom. I was outside my office here this afternoon and was taking a walk to kind of clear my brain and get things going. And I see some trees already in blossom. And then there's a couple of other things that's kicking up. And I'm going, wow, I didn't realize we're already getting that fast of blossoming going on. So it was kind of crazy. So when I started thinking about it, what is an allergy when we get it? We have different things. Everybody reacts the same to a cold or a flu. If somebody gets a flu, they have a flu, right? If they have an allergy, everybody's different. I mean, there could be somebody get around a dog and they're just perfectly fine. But somebody else starts getting runny eyes, itchy throat, they start having runny nose, whatever it may be. And some even get to the point that they could even die from it. Okay, we get that big of an anaphylactic shock. So allergies have a broad spectrum, but really we think that they're a separate system in our body, right? We start thinking, oh, you know what? Allergies, I have an allergy system, quote unquote. Guess what? We don't have an allergy, okay? It's called your immune system. And everybody has an immune system. And so it's really, really crazy. And that immune system, when we get our cold or flu, like I said earlier, reacts. And pretty much everybody has, maybe a fever, achiness, and they don't feel well, okay? Or have some other type of symptom. An allergy, like I said, people have extreme reactions to very little reaction. So why is that? Well, it's our body's ability to try and protect ourselves. So have you ever wondered why you have a runny nose? When we think of runny nose, we think something's bad's happening to us, right? We got a runny nose. And so what do? We run and we get an antihistamine to stop our runny nose. Well, we're stopping the body's natural process to help us get rid of allergies and protect us. And so when we do that, we interrupt it. So there's something else going on in the body that's creating that problem. The runny nose occurs because we inhaled something and the nose says, oh, we want this out. So it starts producing a lot of mucus. And it starts trying to push it out the body, right? So we get rid of the allergen. But if we come along and we take an antihistamine, that stops that natural flow. And that stops our natural ability to help our immune system identify things and build up an immunity or a resistant or things that will help it get a response so we don't go into that full out blown thing that's going on in our body. So realize that something happens. Well, let's say it gets a little worse. It starts running down the back of our throat. We get an itchy, scratchy throat. Okay. So that itchy, scratchy throat comes about because we're having histamine reaction. All right. And so again, what do? We run and grab an antihistamine and we take it. All right. We don't allow our body to help build its system. It gets into our stomach and we can create other problems. Now, I'll talk a little bit about acupuncture here tonight too, because I want everybody to understand that there's a correlation between our large intestines and our lungs. Okay, so when we get an allergy in our gut, we eat something or we inhale something and it runs down into the back of our throat. We get an allergy in our gut. Guess what it's going to have? It's going to have a direct reaction to the rest of our body, and the fact it can affect our breathing. Okay, so the lung meridian and the large intestine meridian are coupled meridians, and they're like husband and wife, the yin and yang we've heard of, right? So when that yin and yang is out of balance, one of them is out of balance, the other one has to react. And so it reacts. So we end up getting things that's going on. So as we go along, what we want to do is we want to figure out how do we help get our systems working better? How do we help that allergy problem so we don't have those issues? So everybody has an immune system. So what we need to talk about is how do we help ourselves get away from that? Because an allergy can be from anywhere, like I said earlier, a runny nose to a trip to the hospital. And in worst cases, people have died from allergy reactions. Okay. So what are some things we need to do? Well, we need to look at the whole system. We need to first start thinking about what affects allergies, what breaks down allergens, what breaks down other things. Well, digestive enzymes or enzymes that we intake into our body are part of that system. So our system has a natural defense that comes in and says, okay, we got an allergy coming into it. Let's start breaking it down. So digestion or coming through the stomach is one of the first things we want to do, is breaking down our allergens by the digestive enzymes. So making sure our digestion is in good shape. Now, if we're not in good shape, this is the number one thing I treat in my office is digestive problems, right? Because in America, what do? We have a really quality diet here, right? Our quality diet includes things like refined carbohydrates, bad fats, fried foods, less vegetables, more carbohydrates. The more carbohydrates we eat, we think we're doing better. But what we're doing is we're weakening our ability to break down our foods. We're weakening our body's ability. Our body has to use all of our digestive enzymes. So first thing I want to talk about is we need digestive enzymes, but we also need to have a good diet. Okay, our diet needs to be good in essential fatty acids of foods that we intake. So things like olive oils, coconut oils, some of those types of oils are really important to ingest into our diet on a daily basis. The body requires more fat than we put into it in a day. All right. Other things we need to look at is in our diet is getting good quality proteins. Okay. And those proteins will come in the form of quinoa. Some of them come in some of the more complex carbohydrates. One of my favorites I like to use here in my office, if you can handle it, mix a couple of tablespoons of chia seeds and drink it. Sometimes it gets slimy. All right. People don't like that, but it's loaded with proteins and loaded with fat. So it's really helpful and protects the body. So realize when we start doing that, those are a couple of things we want to look at. So some of the other things we want to look at is in our digestive tract is our flora. How is our gut bacteria? Okay. Is our gut bacteria working good? Hey, Dave, is it working really good? And how do we help that gut bacteria get better? So the flora or the digestive enzymes, we have several different types of flora in our gut. We need to make sure, one, we're getting a good flora into our gut, and we need to make sure that we're replenishing our gut on a regular basis, because that's going to be where our immune system is, okay? 70% of our immune system's in our gut. And so in order to respond to those allergens that's coming into our body through the lungs or through the large intestines, our immune system needs to figure out what it is and send the signals back to the areas so we can produce our own natural antihistamines, okay? Or we can produce our own immune system factors that's going to help us build up an immunity and start strengthening our immune system for those allergies. So those are a couple things we need to look at. I talked about essential fatty acids. I don't think we get enough fat in our diet in today's world. And you'll hear we are such fat phobics here in the United States, in particular, because everything fat is bad. So we came up with all these unnatural synthetic fats called margarine, and you can go on with the name of it. And so when you start looking at it, those fats are not good for us. They don't break down easy in our body. And so they start clogging up our system with garbage. And so then we don't get the buildup or the proper fats to help strengthen our cells. And our cells need that, because when we have an allergy reaction, guess what it affects? It affects every cell in the body. 75 trillion cells are getting affected. Okay, not just one or two. We're having a response on a cellular level at 75,000 trillion cells. So it's kind of crazy when you look at that. So essential fatty acids are really, really important. And in the cells, so I want to just talk a little bit about why we get that reaction. We have these little power plants in our cells called mitochondria. Okay, and those little mitochondria in there, I get blurry vision once in a while when I'm looking at my computer screen. Sorry, so I have to look at what I'm doing. So we get the mitochondria in our cells, and those mitochondria are what produce energy. Now, I heard somebody talk a little earlier today. They're tired most of the time. Okay, before we started the webinar tonight, part of it is this, the noise that's on a cellular level, or the amount of allergies or the amount of toxicity that's on a cellular level with us makes us tired and fatigued. We have no go juice. Okay, that means what's happening is our body's starting to get less of those telomeres that extend our life. They start getting shortened because we start burning through those. Okay, so telomeres are really important, and they're part of the genetic code of makeup, but they also are affected by our mitochondria not working correctly. We want to get healthy cells, we need to have the mitochondria working correctly. We need to reduce the noise, and I like to call it noise, the allergy noise in our body. Does anybody ever eat something and have a reaction that all of a sudden they just end up with some type of a runny nose, maybe immediately, or they end up with a digestive problem and they have to like in 5 minutes make the bathroom? Okay, make a note of that food and make notes of a couple of things that what is in that food that could be creating that allergy or that allergic reaction. Okay, what's some commonalities of it? And then try to figure out, is there other things that you're eating that are similar to that food that's creating that problem? And then look at, okay, how can I help do that? Maybe it's you're eating too much protein and we need to break down those proteins a little better. So that's where a digestive enzyme would come into benefit. Maybe you're not assimilating fats. That's where another digestive enzyme would also help. It breaks down the fats in the body. So those are really, really important. So reduce that noise on the cells. Build up your immune system. Immune system has got to be one of those important things that we kick up in that system, because if we're not breaking things down, our body identifies it as an allergen. Okay, we're not digesting things properly. The body says, hey, we don't know what this is. That usually breaks it down into one or two proteins, because we need proteins to build certain factors in our body. But if our body's not breaking it down all the way, it now becomes an allergy. So now we end up having an inflammatory response. And that inflammatory response starts making our joints ache, starts making our body feel sluggish, starts making our digestive system sluggish, because what's happening is we're not responding to, our body finds something that's not normal, and our body's not responding normally to that abnormal debris there. So it starts an immune system reaction, and now we start having that issue. So when we start going through this, we need to strengthen our immune system, and we do that through just some key factors. So let's review the key factors that I just went over, because I went through a bunch of stuff, a bunch of information, trying to draw a picture here for you. And I hope you guys can see a picture as we go along here. So the first thing we need to do is we need to make sure when we have an allergy, don't run and grab an antihistamine. Okay, try to identify what's going on with you. Try to identify, okay, what am I going to do to help break this down? Now, if it's bad enough, you need to get an antihistamine. Okay, there's a genetic SNP in our body called hista gene, and that gene actually, when it's being impeded, it's because we've had too many allergic reactions over a period of time. Maybe we've had a lot of surgeries, maybe we had certain things. So that gene is not being called upon to flip on that switch or to turn on that pathway to reduce histamine in our body. So we need to flip on those switches. So things we need to reduce that noise is, one, eat good quality organic food as often as possible. Try to avoid inflammatory foods such as dairy products. Okay. very inflammatory. My favorite food group is ice cream food group. It's the sixth food group out there, but it's one of my favorite food groups. I don't eat it very often because I don't deal well with it. Okay. Next thing we need to look at is coming in and working with taking good quality vegetables in. Vegetables, and we need to have more vegetables. And you'll hear me always talk, when you hear me talk, I talk about eating 7 to 8 servings of vegetables almost every day. Now, what is a serving of vegetables? A half a cup. Now, vegetables are not always the little starchy vegetables that we mainly eat in our diet, which is carrots and, those types of things. We need to eat dark green leafy vegetables. We need to eat broccoli, cauliflower. We need to have things that are more natural, not the things that are simple carbohydrates. So more vegetables in our diet. Now, fruit is something we eat tons of here in the United States. And so what we need to do is eat less fruit. Okay, we need to have the maximum a day, 2 servings, which is 2 half cups of fruit a day. All right. And we need to really check the glycemic index on that. What I mean by that, bananas have a really high glycemic index and creates an inflammatory response in our body, okay? Versus berries, such as raspberries, blackberries, they have a lower glycemic index and create a less reaction in there. So change our diet. Make sure we're taking a digestive enzyme, okay, to help break down those foods. Take good quality proteins, chicken, fish, those types of things. Sparingly on red meat. It's not always good for us. Okay, it's hard for our bodies to break down. It burns through our digestive enzymes. Make sure you're taking good flora. Replenish your bacteria in your body at all times. You need to do that. Take a factor that will build your immune system. Okay, something really, really important, because right now, how many people have been afraid of COVID? Okay, and continue to think of that. I mean, I see it every day in my office. Some people are like, we're done with this, and other people are like, hey, this is really scary still to them. Okay, so I talk to them about building their immune system. Is your immune system, are you doing these things on a daily basis? What are you doing to protect yourself? Okay, so start protecting yourself. Take essential fatty acids to help protect the cell, the cellular walls, and the cell itself, and then mitochondrial health. You need to do something that's going to help you with your mitochondria. Those mitochondria, they respond. When they get clogged up, we get more allergies on a cellular level, and then we get more body aches. So it's really important that we start doing things to help our mitochondria in our body. There's a lot of different things out there that'll help, but there's a few things that are better than others. And then the last thing is take something that's going to help you break down the histamines in your body if you're having bad allergy reactions. A couple of different things I use is some enzymes called Wobelzymes. They help break down the inflammatory process on occasions. Activate a couple of different pathways in your body. Activate the NRF2 pathway in your body. Okay. I had a lady in here the other day. We changed her diet. She's been in terrible pain. She thought she was going to have knee replacement. Okay. So we talked a lot about different things. So what did I do with her? I turned around and said, you know what, let's start you on some nutritional products that I think may help you and we can possibly avoid it. Her knee is not that bad. When I looked at the joint, we took an x-ray of it. It looks really good. And I'm sitting there looking at it going, okay, she's having an allergic reaction to the food she's ingesting. And she's having an inflammatory response that's affecting the knee. It took us about 2.5 weeks. She came in one day and she says, I have no pain. I haven't had pain for 2 days now. She says, why is that? I said, it took your body a little bit of time to activate those NRF2 pathways and those NRF1 pathways to reduce the inflammation in the body and to reduce the inflammation on a cellular level with the mitochondria. And now we flipped on the switch. And now we've got the body doing what it's supposed to do naturally. So if you're experiencing allergy situations, it's because what's going on with your body is you're not activating it. You need to stop feeding it bad stuff, okay, and start improving your diet, and then start turning on, flipping on those switches that's going to start making the body break things down correctly so you can use it to build itself up, and also to flip on the switches that's going to reduce those inflammatory responses and those mitochondrial dysfunctions in there. Get back with the person that invited you to this tonight to get more information for it. I think you can actually find it very helpful to look at this. And those that are going to be joining later, watching this at a later time, because maybe somebody shared it with you, reach out to that individual and ask them, what is it that you have that can help me reduce the inflammatory response? How can I improve my diet? And connect them with whomever. If you guys need to connect them with me to help them understand, hey, that's great. We can actually set something up like that. But I'd like to thank you guys for being on tonight. I hope this was helpful to you. Realize allergies are not a separate system. We have our immune system that reacts. We just need to make sure that we are using proper nutrients and proper diet to help our body reduce the inflammatory noise that's out there on it.
Thanks for watching. And remember, one change can have an enormous effect. Remember to subscribe, hit the bell and the like, and we'll see you next time on Love to Live.